think as a society we've gotten to the point where there are a lot of people who fail to understand some very critical, very important things. And I want to talk a little bit about that today in the idea of trading the unreasonable, which is going to be the subject for today's Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and today is Sunday the 20th of June of 2021. I hope I give you something that you enjoy or more, hopefully more profit from in what I say today. Thank you for everyone who's here on Rumble on the podcast and on YouTube. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform, but then again, you can pretty much visit me wherever you're able to do that, and I'm not going to complain one way or another. But anyway, so today what we're going to talk about is this subject of trading on the unreasonable. And I'm going to start very quickly by reading my notes. Somebody that I know posted a meme on social media about how medical care / child support would change minds of unreasonable people, particularly parents and others who are looking to keep children alive rather than allow abortions to occur. The fact that people are unwilling or unable to pay child care doesn't mean you should be for killing unborn babies. Not their unborn babies. I said in my notes, their unborn babies. But killing the unborn babies of the people for whom the child care and so forth would need to occur. People keep saying things like the fact that underage people People keep saying things like the fact that underage people keep having unprotected sex means we should stop talking about things like abstinence. Forgive me, but changing the culture back to what it was before is not always a bad idea. How is it that the number of people not in committed relationships, acting sexually, and getting pregnant seems to have exploded in the not-too-distant past? And I mean, you look at the numbers and you'll see that that's true. There's just no doubt. The data will bear that out. Is this really where we want to go as a society? Is it really reasonable to teach people that coming even close to the idea of killing people for no cause is a good one? Is that really reasonable? It's time to start getting people to recognize one simple fact. What is it? When a life is taken, it's gone. It's not coming back. Okay, that's my notes, so let's get into the actual meat of this subject. Look, to begin with, we have decided that younger and younger people, largely, having sex is an okay thing. Now, we had names for this sort of thing, things like statutory rape and carnal knowledge and various other things that were considered to be inappropriate for people under certain ages. I'm sorry to tell you this, but one of the problems that we have in a society as a whole is that we've decided to tell people that it's okay for you not to possess your soul and patience. Okay? I honestly try to, particularly where it's important, teach my children, have tried to teach my children, sometimes you have to wait, and that's just all there is to that. I know you want this or that. You can't have this or that right now because we can't do that, or you can't do that. It's unreasonable for you to do that, or it's impossible for you to do that, or doing so will result in any number of things that are unfortunate or problematic, or may very well even bring you to harm. I literally heard a story about people choking themselves till they passed out recently, and a kid having died from that. And my answer is, I'm not against the parents. I think they probably tried to do right by the kid, right? So I'm not trying to say that. But look, kid, and obviously that kid is gone, but I'm talking to all of you who are still out there. There's a risk that comes with this activity. And that risk is literally to the point of death. And you don't know if you're going to be the person who's going to die as a result. It's not reasonable for you to take that sort of action. Similarly, it's unreasonable for you to have sex at all with somebody to whom you're not married. Now, people will disagree with me on that. I get it. That's my opinion, and obviously you don't have to share it. But it is still unreasonable, in my opinion, even if you don't go to the place of marriage, and I think it's a reasonable place to go, but that's me, to have sexual relations, and particularly, quote, unprotected sexual relations with people in that you're not in a committed relationship with, right? It's unreasonable for you to have physical, intimate activity with somebody that you're not committed to. And there are a number of reasons for this, and one is it cheapens that act. It's a problem. It's a big problem. It's a problem for me. You can argue that that act has been somewhat cheapened for me, and it's my fault, and I'm not trying to blame anybody else for that. In a number of ways you can argue that that's true. And I don't want to see other people go through what I have gone through where that is concerned. I just don't. I don't have any interest in that. I don't want to see people get into relationships that for a time basically destroy their lives one way or another. And I'll just tell you that I'm not talking about having children there. Because to begin with, there's adoption. You can put your child up for adoption, and there are people who will take that child. That's not an unheard of thing at all. Not at all. Even with as bad as it is and as difficult as it is to have adoption occur in many instances, many people will still take that on. I know a couple who have adopted not just children, but children who were not babies because they wanted to have children and they had no other way to do that. So they decided we're going to adopt, and they adopted, I think they're up to 3 or 4 great kids. The couple happens to be, quote, white, and 2 of the children happen to be, quote, black. Who cares? They're great kids. They're good parents and they're great kids. And that's all you need to know. One of the kids, I think the little girl is, I think she's just, quote, white. She's not like Hispanic or anything. But again, who cares? Look, I have 2 half Korean kids and two half Hispanic kids, and I don't care what they are. They're my kids. I love them, and that's what a parent ought to do. And they are great kids, and I can't take a thing away from them through anything, much less the idea that they're, quote, biracial. Who cares? Who cares? But here's the point. Here's what we need to get back to. Look, it's unreasonable for you to say that people would change their mind on abortion if they were presented with the idea that they had to look after kids that they helped to bring into the world. To begin with, guess what? It hasn't been that long ago that was how things were. It hasn't been that long ago, people. Back years ago, a teenage boy who happened to help a teenage girl bring children into the world raised the children with the mama, or at least paid for them to be raised. Yes, it's true that there were some that decided that they were going to step off into their own little world and do their own little thing, and that's just life, and we just have to deal with that. By the way, my computer has decided to buzz, and I'm just going to let it today, I think, unless it gets horribly loud. The point I'm making here is really simple. It's trading in the unreasonable to say that just because you could change somebody's mind by pointing out to them that they should be paying child support or helping to support that child or medical bills or whatever, they should suddenly fall into support for abortion. People fall into support every day for things that they should have no earthly or proper reason to support. They do that, and it's wrong. It doesn't change whether or not they do it, and why. It doesn't change that. So I'm sorry to tell you this, but the fact that you think that that's okay, I'm just going to have to disagree with you on that. You're just mistaken. It's not okay to assume that just because somebody would change their mind if they were presented with difficult choices means that it's reasonable for them to be allowed to do so. I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's the reality. That's just basically what it comes down to. So please don't tell me that I should consider it reasonable that because that person helped to bring somebody into the world, that person should be able to, as it were, sort of change their position because they don't want to deal with the fact that they helped to bring that person into the world. you'll forgive me, but that's not appropriate. Just because you did something that you shouldn't have done, and it makes it so that you wish you hadn't done, and it makes it so that you have to deal with a bunch of things that you really don't want to deal with, does not mean that it is reasonable for you to decide that it's proper to take the life of an unborn child, as a result of what you're doing. Okay, it doesn't mean that. I'm sorry that that's true. All right, I've run myself over time because I got caught up in other things that I most of the things that I talk about I could spend a lot of time talking about, and I basically cut myself off when I know that I'm up on time so that I can reduce the amount of time that you spend listening to me. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, though. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host. I'm Kurt. Today is Sunday, the 20th of June of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Monday, the 21st of June of 2021. Today's subject has been trading in the unreasonable. Tomorrow we're going to talk about the idea of adoption versus abortion. This was born out of the same conversation, the same meme, and I really want to sort of discuss it. Thank you for having been here, whether it's on Rumble, on YouTube, on the podcast, whichever it happens to be, or for that matter anywhere else. Know that Rumble is my preferred platform, but I understand that you may catch me somewhere else. Remember that you can give me a positive Rumble or a negative one on Rumble. That's a plus or a minus, or the boxing glove back and forth in certain platforms. Remember that you can like or dislike what I say on YouTube as well. That's a thumbs up or a thumbs down as a rule. And remember that you can comment on both platforms. It is, as I say, Sunday, the beginning of the Christian week. Tomorrow will be the beginning of the work week for many people. Again, thank you for those folks who are working on the weekend. Hope things are going well for you. Hope that you're having a good day today, or will have a good day today if you haven't really gotten it started very well, which I'm sure is true for a lot of things. And hopefully we will see you on Monday's edition of the Daily Summation. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Sunday, June 20th of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.